Remember the last time your father shook your hands and it was like it was a real handshake sort of? Like his grip, it honestly amazed you because you're on self-improvement. You go to the gym and you're like, this guy doesn't even lift weights. How is his grip stronger than mine? And then you realize that your father has probably put in hundreds and hundreds and at least 1,000 hours of just physical labor just to provide for his family, just to provide so you could have food when you were a little kid and you could have focused on playing video games. But I just want you to realize that, and now I want you to realize your grandfather, your great-grandfather, your great-great-great-great-grandfather. Imagine the men in your bloodline, bro. Imagine the type of physical strength. Imagine the level of masculine energy that they truly had. Imagine how God-fearing these men truly were. Sounds pretty amazing, right? Imagine you just, me personally, I don't really know anything about my great-grandfather. I don't know anything about my great-great-grandfather, but I can just imagine, I'm a Punjabi, right? And our ancestry, we're usually are like these big, we're not like muscular or anything, but we're like this big people who weigh a lot and who are actually like physically very strong, who were on horses and all that like hundreds of years ago. So I can just imagine in my bloodline when there were men like hundreds of years ago, my great-great-great-great-grandfather, how strong, how the level of just masculine energy that he could have. Next, I want you to close your eyes, bro, and I want you to visualize one of these men, these great men meeting you. Would he be proud of you? Would this guy who probably had to defend against literal animals with a spear with his brothers, would he be proud of you? Because you're still his son, right? It may be like you may be his like great-great-great-great-grandson, but you're still his blood, so he still has rights over you. He can still like be proud of you. He can still be disappointed in you if he decided to. And the question is, would he be proud of you? I want you to imagine, let's skip 100 years ago, right? Let's go thousands of years ago. I want you to imagine that there was one guy, there was a man in your bloodline who had to literally defend himself against a tiger, against a literal like beast, just so his bloodline could survive. And now thousands of years later, here's you who just can't stop playing video games all day. Do you understand the problem in this? You have to realize that your bloodline, every single man's bloodline, I don't believe in bad genetics, because if you have bad genetics, your bloodline would have been killed off thousands of years ago. It sounds brutal, but it's pretty much common sense. If you have bad genetics, if you had weak people in your bloodline would have been killed off by like a tiger or by like the British, like 100 years ago, like 1,000 years ago. But you're still here. That means that there were great people in your bloodline who literally had to do God knows what, had to do unanimous things just so you could be in this world today. Just so you could have a comfortable place to live, a house to live in, food to eat 3 times a day. Your bloodline didn't have that, by the way. Your bloodline had to go out with their brothers to hunt the tiger, yet they were more happy than you, and you're depressed because you're controlled by your lustful thoughts. If I've ever met one of my great-great-grandfathers who truly were physically strong, if I met the man in my bloodline who had to defend himself from a tiger, from a beast, from like an army who was raiding to come to his village, and he had to defend himself, and he had to defend his family against them. If I ever meet that person, which I probably will on the day of judgment and the akhirah, I don't even know what I would be able to say, man, because we just have to realize that just the next time when you journal, just journal about your bloodline, journal about the great things that your ancestors had to do. Then remember that the next time you say you have bad genetics because you can't put on muscle, the next time you say you have bad genetics, say you can't put on muscle, just remember one of these great men in your bloodline. I'll see you in the next one, bro. Peace.